You know, I have a 5-year-old daughter. She keeps singing this at home. Do you recognize this? You know this? Yeah. It's Itsy Bitsy Spider. How about this? This? Recognize it? No? Well, never mind. I don't know either what it was, because I was improvising. That's what we jazz musicians oftentimes do when we improvise. We take a familiar song like this, or compose something new. And then we use the harmonic structure and the form of that song to improvise more melodies and rhythms. Actually, that kind of improvising has been one of the most common ways to improvise in jazz music since the World War II. I think improvising is a fantastic way to create new content instantaneously. We all improvise in our everyday lives. At least if we think of improvising in its general meaning of making or creating from whatever is available to us. A great example is speaking, especially in mother tongue. We have an idea or feeling and we just speak it away without further thinking. We are able to do it because we have acquired the necessary mouth motor skills already in early childhood, and we have built a huge vocabulary that we can use. In arts, improvising is usually defined to be composing and performing simultaneously. The point is to add aesthetic value to the performance by opening up the creative process for the audience. It's also important that artistic improvising is done within a context, because it's only against a context that both the other performers and the audience are able to understand and decode what the improviser means. So, the reason I'm here today is that I want to show you 3 steps to learning improvisation. Imitation, assimilation, and innovation. These kind of self-learning processes have been natural to jazz musicians since day one. But in its current form and wording, these 3 steps are conceptualized by a devoted jazz educator, Clark Terry. For this speech, I'm using Clark Terry's 3 steps, but I'm also adding to it lots of my own experiences and examples. In a way, these are also 3 steps for learning a language, because that's how you learn actually improvising. You learn a language, and that language might be then the language of jazz or spoken language, or computer language, you name it. Let's go to practice. Here is a song called Got a Match by Chick Corea. Thank you. Got a Match is a typical bebop, hard bop, idiom composition that has fairly short form, 16 bars, and it's in up-tempo jazz, and then it's produced into 80s fusion kind of style on the recording. But the idea is that it has plenty of room for improvising. Let's say I want to practice the introduction of this recording where Chick Corea improvises one chorus. It sounds like this. Okay, so we go into the imitation phase. It's good to realize that we need some complementary skills. I need to have instrument skills, some vocal skills. I need to be able to recognize pitches by ear. And I also need to know some jazz theory. Okay, so we start imitating. In my opinion, the imitation is very close to another process that we jazz musicians oftentimes use, called transcription. And that is nicely defined by jazz master Dave Liebman into 4 segments. So first, I select the working area, which is the introduction. And then I learn to sing it, at least the rhythm and the melodic contour. I learn to sing along with the recording, and up to the point when I'm so fluent that I can sing it without the recording in the tempo, like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then I do the same process with the instrument. So I learn from the keyboard the right pitches. Until, again, this takes a long time, but now you have everything compressed. Until I'm able to play it along with the recording. And so on. And then the final stage is that I write it down, like this. This alone is a great achievement, but we don't want to end here. We want to learn more, we want to go deeper into this, and for that we move to the second phase of assimilation. In this phase, we break down the working area that we just had. We learn to imitate it, and now we break it down to small phrases that we start using as practice ethods. For example, I want to practice the first phrase, and I start taking it through all the 12 keys. And so on. You know, so I do small practice efforts, and I really make sure that I'm totally fluent with everything. And I also analyze theoretically. Next slide will contain some heavy music theory, so don't be intimidated. Here is something called functional harmony analysis. Below the stuff you can see the actual composition and its functional harmony. And above you can see how the soloist, Chick Corea, has chosen a little bit different kind of harmonic solutions. And that's the beauty of jazz. You can find your own path, and then you resolve nicely in certain points. This second phase, assimilation, has probably the largest footprint out of these 3 steps, because you need to let things really incubate thoroughly before there is any point to move further. And when you finally do, you enter the innovation. In this phase, we start combining the phrases we have learned into our own sentences. We might modify them if we want. We might add some influences that we like. And we start speaking the language. We have to remember that innovation is a big word. And throughout the jazz history, there are only few people who truly are recognized as innovators of jazz. But if you do this, if you repeat this process over and over, you will gather a great jazz vocabulary that might lead into development of personal jazz identity, meaning that your playing will be recognized as jazz, but as well it will be recognized as you. I encourage everybody to think about this process and try to use it in your own field. For ending, I would like to play a short version of Got a Match, where I first play some Chick Corea imitation, then I play the composition, the head, and then I continue improvising on my own. And then I finish off by repeating the head. Let's see. Thank you.